Good morning, everybody. We're going to call this meeting of the Lackawanna County Pension Board to order. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Don will do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Gaughan.
Here.
Commissioner Chermak. Absent. Angie Murphy Jones and Mr. DeBilio.
Here.
Okay. We have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our last pension board meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
On the question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the minutes have been approved. Opportunity for the public to address the board. Okay, seeing that there is no one, we'll move into new business. First up is motion 25-5025, and that is to approve the, it's not on here. Let me see.
What's this report?
Oh, it's just a report.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll approve the pension report, and then on the question, we'll ask Mark to present. So can I have a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a second. On the question, Mark Gensheimer, president of CS McKee, will comment.
Yep.
Okay.
May I say, the report that was attached was the first quarter. We didn't have the second quarter. There was a lack of communication somewhere. So what's on the agenda is the first quarter, but Mark has sent out the second quarter.
I have the first page of the second quarter, if anybody wants.
Very good.
Are you approving the first quarter or the second quarter at this point?
We'll approve both.
We'll approve both.
We'll approve both.
In fact, what I had done, sent it to Gary, Terry, Angela, and I put Reggie on it, but I forgot to put his email. That's why I didn't get so sorry about that.
That's okay.
But anyways, just a real quick over. In fact, I'm glad we didn't talk about the first quarter because it was so bad. But the second quarter was as bad as the first quarter was. The second quarter was even stronger in the markets. So the overall portfolio is, I can't believe this, but it's over 230 million at this point. So it just continues to grow. And it's been quite a roller coaster ride, as you know, as you've been watching in the news. And, volatility for a lot of different reasons. We do believe that most of the volatility, is coming out of Washington because of all the discussion around tariffs. But as some of those tariff threats are, delayed and not met as much, the volatility is calming down a little bit, although Shane just showed me a real brief. We understand that Powell might be fired today, which would not be a good thing for the markets, and we don't think a good thing in general. But so we might see some more volatility coming up as soon as this afternoon. But for the first quarter, the U.S. markets were down about 5% domestically, and the world kind of seemed to be imploding. But fortunately, your portfolio is so well diversified. International markets were up about 9% in the first quarter. Now, most of that was because of currency exchange, but the international markets were actually performing in the first quarter better than we were in the U.S. On the other hand, the second quarter was a huge rebound. Domestic markets were up almost 11%. Your part of the domestic portfolio was up 12.5%. International was up another 10%. Year to date, the portfolio has performed really extremely well. Domestic up over 5%, international up over 18%, fixed income 4%, and the total portfolio over 6%. So if you would have talked to us at the end of the first quarter, we would have never believed that we are where we are. But that's why you don't pull out. You just continue to be invested. And if you buy good companies and you're well diversified, you should do pretty well in the long run. And yeah, bless you. Yeah, so it's million. Yep. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you take a look at that second quarter, and the portfolio itself, it appreciated by almost $14.8 million. You look at it generated investment income from the dividend and interest payments of almost $1.3 million. So it's an excellent second quarter.
Yeah. And then, if you look at the 1, 3, and 5, 10-year, for the 5-year annualized performance is up over, it's 10.26% annualized for the last 5 years. And that's a percent. Your benchmark is conservative, and that's over 1% over the benchmark. So, I'm just, fortunately, we are really well diversified. It's like if we didn't have the international holdings, the portfolio in the first quarter would have been down. It wouldn't be anywhere near it is today. And international had underperformed the domestic markets for probably 7, 8, 9 years. But you just have to keep that diversification in the portfolio. So Shane's going to give you a little bit more details on some of the specific reasons why the portfolio's performed really well, and then talk about some of the enhancements. Looking at the portfolio, our portfolio managers have talked a little bit about diversifying the portfolio even a little bit more to keep a little bit more of the volatility out of the portfolio. So, we're looking at making some, not major changes, but adding a few more stocks on both the international and equity side to it, and probably a little bit more on the growth side too. So. And we did complete our acquisition. We talked 2 quarters ago about us acquiring a firm called Foundry. They've rolled into McKee's. We've added about 20 different people there, about 10 portfolio managers. So we've added a lot of just additional resources to the equity staff. So really excited about it. So.
All right. Thanks, Mark. I was thinking about this as we were driving here for the meeting, and it's hard to believe now, but Mark hired me now 14 years ago at C.S. McKee, and
It was only 12.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it's hard to believe, but as I look back on the second quarter, it was probably one of the more challenging quarters for me at C.S. McKee. And the reason why I say that, a lot of times we'll have multiple meetings throughout the week. And a lot of the headlines and the talking points that we're discussing with clients on Monday are usually pretty similar to what we're discussing on Friday. But you look at this past quarter, and as Mark said, there was a lot of volatility. It seemed like some of the meetings that we'd have in the morning, by the afternoon, a lot of those headlines or the tariff policies were completely changing. And a lot of this first happened, you go back to April 2nd, or as what President Trump labeled it, Liberation Day. And this is when he blindsided the markets, and he came in with these sweeping tariffs that were a little harsher than what the investors were expecting. And so what we saw from there was we saw some panic selling, and it led to one of the largest stock market declines that we've seen here in the United States since dating back to the global pandemic back in 2020. And to give you an idea of how big of a drop it was, if you go back at the point, the peak in the markets at that point, from February until April 8th, stocks fell almost 20%. Now, fortunately, President Trump stepped back in at that point. He put a 90-day pause on, and that's where we saw the market start to pivot. And over the next 3 months, what we saw was a lot of positive economic data that was coming out. You look, corporate earnings were stronger than anticipated in the first quarter. Profits rose for S&P 500 companies by 13%. You look in the second quarter, the U.S. economy added 150,000 jobs per month on average. That lowered the unemployment rate to 4.1%. You look at the U.S. consumer, and it's amazing, with all that we've been faced with the inflation, we continue to remain resilient. And that's very important because we account for almost 70% of the economic growth here in the United States. And even with some of the news and some of the thoughts that maybe a lot of these tariff announcements that Trump's making, maybe it's more of a negotiation tactic, you're even seeing some of the consumer sentiment start to improve in the second half of the quarter. And then you look, economists have nudged up some of the growth forecasts for this year, which has been positive news. Now, the one big thing that everyone is keeping an eye on is inflation, and tariffs are going to have an impact on it. And we saw the impact of it from May to June, where the CPI numbers that came out just yesterday went from 2.4% to 2.7%.
So what you're saying is that the tariffs have increased inflation?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. And so what you're seeing with that is a lot of the goods that are more sensitive to the tariffs, things like toys, clothing, furniture, you're seeing some of those prices rise right now. Now, the big thing that we're going to be keeping an eye on here as we go into the second half of the year, you look going into that first quarter, and a lot of these companies, they build up their inventories. And so what they're selling right now are a lot of goods that weren't impacted by these tariffs that are being put into place. So as these inventories now are being spent down, now that the question is going to be is how does this impact inflation here in the second half of the year? So it's something we're keeping a very close eye on. But all in all, as Mark said, it was a remarkable rally in the second quarter. From April 9th to early July, stocks rose almost 25%. That's one of the best 3-month stretches that we've seen in history. The big question is, can this continue in the second half of the year? I think, as Mark said, we're expecting more volatility in the markets. So our question at CS McKee is we position your portfolios, is how do we position your portfolio for the long term, where it consistently can meet or exceed that actuarial rate of assumption? And as Mark said, you look the 1, 3, 5, 10-year inception to date, we've been able to do that. So one of the things that our team's looking at doing right now, if you look historically, we've had a large cap core portfolio in for your U.S. domestic equity. And that is a 50 stock portfolio. And so what we're looking at doing is we're looking at replacing that with a dedicated large cap value and a dedicated large cap growth strategy. And the reason that we want to do so is for any of the volatility in the market, that large cap value strategy is going to absorb it. It's going to help to reduce some of the volatility. One of the big reasons you look at has almost a 3% dividend yield on the strategy. But on the flip side, when you get those strong rebounds like we saw from April 9th on, we want to take advantage of that too. And so that large cap growth component is going to have more of a tech focus, and so it'll be able to capture some of those big gains that we're seeing. And it gives our portfolio managers another tool to overweight or underweight value and growth depending on what they're seeing in the markets. And as Mark said, it's more diversified. You're going from about a 50 stock U.S. large cap portfolio to a 100 stock portfolio. And we think, based on everything, for the long term, that's in the best interest of the plan.
Any questions? Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, so I think Gary made the motion, Ange seconded it. Anyone else on the question?
And just to clarify, it is a vote to approve both the first and second quarter reports.
Okay. All those in favor of approving both reports signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and the reports are approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Opportunity for the public to address the board. Would anyone like to address the board? No. Members, other business, does anybody have anything? No? Okay.
I actually have a question about.
Yeah, sure.
Did anybody hear anything about Corn Ferry getting out of the retirement business?
No.
No? Okay. So when my treasurer's, no, nothing about Cornberry?
I
Or
didn't-
Corn Ferry? Cornberry. That was breakfast this morning.
I know that Dave Reichert left there.
Okay. So they weren't merging, okay, so I just wrote down, that's why I was asking.
We can check.
So my understanding is that they were getting out of the retirement fund business and arranged with Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company to assume that function on behalf of their existing clients.
We'll check and see.
Okay.
We haven't been notified that I'm aware of yet.
Okay.
They're
You know what?
advisors, yeah.
To that, though, I had a call from another county, actually Bradford County, a couple weeks ago.
Regarding this?
They're
Yeah.
regarding Corn Ferry, yeah.
So we'll just have to look into that then.
And they're the actuary.
Correct.
Yep.
And so I didn't know then if we're under contract with them.
Oh, we are, yeah. Oh,
Right,
yeah.
so some are gonna, even though it's gonna be taken over by this,
Gabriel.
the GRS, they'll go
Well, they'll
to
be
go
under
into
the-
the con,
Yeah, they'll have to assume the contract. Yeah.
right,
But going forward, we'll have to look and see who this company is, if we want to do business with them or.
right,
whatever, you know.
exactly. So then they've, all right, so, I was just curious if
Can you
anybody.
guys check that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, GRS is a really good company, but, yeah.
What,
GR
they are, yeah, and
for
Foster
sure.
and Foster was
Yeah.
another one some of them
Yeah,
were
yeah,
suggesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, 'cause we know that Dave left 2 months ago or so.
See what happens then? Everything just
Goes
falls
quickly.
apart.
Yeah, but they, yeah, I don't know.
Right,
We'll find out though.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
very
good.
They
Thank
should
you.
have notified us, you
Yeah.
know, there was, you know.
And us too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, you too.
we work with so many counties with them.
right.
We work with a lot of other actuarial firms too. But
So, but you were contacted, right?
Yeah,
regarding
yeah.
the same thing?
Bradford
Okay.
County actually just reached out about it as well.
Okay, all right, very good. Yeah, that's probably because they've got this
Yeah.
all going, with all the treasurers anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Anyone have anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
On the question, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.